Hi, my name is Jim Parker with Boss Talk. This is my business partner, Carey Sobel. We talk about selling businesses.
And today's episode is called The Boss Group Difference. And for the previous episodes, we did not talk about Boss Group front and center, but today we're going to pound our chests and we are going to do that. It's a tool for us to talk about how we do things a little bit differently and directly relates to our first episode, The Mindset of Business Brokers is Broken. What we mean by that is we do things a little bit differently here. We think we do them a little bit better here, but we're very confident in what we do and how we serve our clients. And we're not going to get into the weeds about what we do. We're not going to give away any trade secrets.
No give away any strategies.
Nope. But
obviously, we can't do that in a public forum.
Yeah. But I think the first thing that we take pride in at Boss Group is we feel like us, our partners, our agents, our coordinators, everybody in the Boss Group team we're all good people.
I agree. I think that's the core of everything. I absolutely love the culture that we have at Boss Group.
Yeah. It's important to love who you work with and appreciate and respect who you work with. And we just have
good people, good solid people that are really good at what they do.
Yeah, that's a nice bonus.
Yeah, that is,
Yeah. So, I mean...
and you know what? Beyond the agents and us and the coordinators and everybody that works at Boss Group, but even our vendors and the people that we work with, the people, the lenders that we tend to work with and the attorneys that we tend to work with, the writers, everybody that we kind of circle around, it's taken us years to kind of pick those subcontractors or the people that we refer to find like who we think are the best of the best. They're really good at what they do. They're really good people at the end of the day. And they really assist us in, taking us and our sellers and buyers and getting across the finish line time and time again.
Yep. And while historically speaking, we haven't done a ton of outreach or marketing or advertising, is a testament to our reputation.
Yeah.
We have a really strong reputation at Boss Group. We have an incredible amount of Google reviews. Check them out. You're going to find all the wonderful things that we've done to serve our clients and how they feel about us. We take pride in our reputation, and it's brought us a ton of opportunities because we serve buyers and sellers and help them with whatever they're looking to do. And then it comes right back around. People say, you got to work with Jim. He's the best. So while we plan to put some more effort out this year, getting our name out there outbound, a lot of our reputation has stimulated our growth.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And we're always, what I really like too, is that we're always trying to improve. We're always trying to get better. How can we do things better? And I think that's a key component too, because I think that when you sit there and say, hey, we're great, we're perfect where we need to be, you stop growing and it stunts your growth.
Absolutely.
And I do got to give a testament to so many other business intermediaries throughout the United States and Canada, because we've had conversations with some top-notch business intermediaries all over North America, and it's great because we've been open with them about things that we do, and they're open with us about things that they do, and it makes us better, it makes them better. And having those conversations, and really I wouldn't want to give a list of names, but because there's so many of them, I'd be afraid to leave anybody off. But those relationships that we have with other really good business intermediaries around the country and Canada, I really appreciate all the advice that they've given us. I really appreciate the insight, the strategies, and making us better. And I think that they would feel the same way that we've done the same thing for them.
What's beautiful about it is our industry is kind of small. Like I think there's 2 million residential realtors across the United States.
Oh no, I don't. I think it's more than that.
Is it?
I mean, I couldn't even guess. In Florida alone, we have a ton. But across the United States, it's estimated. Nobody really knows, but it's estimated that there's about 10,000 business brokers in the United States. So 10,000.
It's a small number.
That, when you think about it, that's a really, really small number.
So what we're doing is building relationships with fellow brokers, sharing what has worked, what hasn't worked. We go to these conferences and we build relationships. We tell horror stories and war stories.
Yeah, share them with each other. And
I did this and it worked, and we're not afraid to do that because really, nothing at the end of the day is incredibly proprietary, right?
Right.
It's really just strategies that have or haven't worked. It's different technologies that we've adopted to make ourselves better. I know you have a peer group of people that are very well respected.
My peer group is
You talk so
amazing.
highly of all of them.
Oh my gosh, my peer group, we meet once a month by Zoom for 2.5 hours. There's 12 of us. Everybody's spread out throughout the country. And those 11 other brokers that I participate with, they're some of the best brokers out there.
Yeah.
And I've learned so much from them. And I think that they've really taken my individual practice and our company to another level. And I hope they feel the same way, with my participation in the group. And
sure
that 2.5 hours is complete. The walls are down, Carey. I mean, you think about, they're at the end of the day, I guess you could put them as competitors, and I don't really think of them as competitors, and I don't think they think of me as a competitor. And we serve different markets, but also there could be opportunities where we do overlap. But those walls are down. Those walls are down, and everything's transparent. And it's a great group because they're all really, really good at what they do. They're all really, really good people, which is important for us. And, everybody's open and sharing. And that peer group has been phenomenal.
That's great.
It's been phenomenal.
I certainly feel like we've learned a lot from them. I've had the opportunity to meet some of your peer group at some of the conferences. And, we are transaction brokers. We do co-broke, so we work with a lot of brokers, in town, and we have good relationships with them as well. And I think the ones that we look at as good people are the ones that we migrate towards. Yeah. But at the end of the day, just doing the right thing and.
I think I'm sorry to cut you off, and I think like you had mentioned the conferences, go to IBBA conferences and M&A source conferences, and that brings in brokers from all over the world, and there's nothing better. You talking to somebody and you realize, okay, they're really good at what they do, and just sitting down and having a beer with them and just chatting and picking their brain, letting them pick your brain, and just being open. I mean, I know that sounds silly, but it's I think that's a big part of why we are where we are at.
And we build our little circles of people we magnetize towards. But one way that you can actually control the narrative is having a closer, tighter-knit group. And we consider ourselves at Boss Group a boutique agency, or a boutique firm, if you will. We've intentionally kept ourselves small. And we made sure that the people that we surround ourselves with and work with every day, of course, as we discussed, that we like, they're good people, but they're also award-winning people. And, we have a ton of accolades on our team. Jim, you're sitting here as former chair of the Business Brokers of Florida. The contributions you've made to this industry are some of the highest of anybody that has.
Oh, thank you.
It's incredible. I mean, the amount of respect that you have industry-wide, the time you've dedicated to make this practice better, not just Boss Group, not just the BBF, but to put everything that we're doing as a conglomerate in Florida on the map across the U.S. You've spoken in Georgia and Ohio and all these different places. So, we try to give back to the community and make things better. But at Boss Group, we've kept it intentionally small. And I think there was something that happened where you realized we can do more with less, maybe.
And we talked about this in the first episode. Is that I started the company in 2010, and we grew it to 23, or I grew it to 23 agents, and then we had, I don't know, at the time 5 or 6 admin people. And I was at that crossroads, and I was like, should we keep growing it and bring on more agents? Because originally I was thinking maybe we should have like 75, 100 agents someday doing business brokerage. And I had a training program, a recruiting program. I was mentoring people. I was doing all this stuff. And I think we were on a good track. But then I looked around one day, Carey, and I was like, this is not what I want. I don't want to have a large company where you've got some great brokers, you've got some okay brokers, and then you got a lot of not so good brokers. And
hurts the reputation.
So, it does. And I started thinking, what, I really want quality instead of quantity. So at the time we had 23 agents and some admin people, with great admin. We still have a couple of them, fantastic, but 23 agents. And I got on the phone one day, February 2016, and I let go of like 17 agents in one day.
I made the cut.
And then I made you and Tony. I asked you guys if you guys wanted to be business partners, and then me, you, and Tony became business partners. And I think it's been fantastic since then. And I like that we went from I went from wanting to have this huge company to being like, that's not really what I want at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I want to have like something that I'm really, really proud about. It's about quality. Kind of being like the Green Berets of business brokerage. We're small, but we're fierce, and we know what we're doing, and we're very knowledgeable, and I love that.
Yep.
And growing on that, what I like is that we really believe in education.
Oh, yeah.
At Boss Group, and we pay for the airfare, the hotel, the conference fees, the meals, everything for anybody that wants to go to any of the conferences, whether it's a Business Brokers of Florida conference or an M&A Source conference, or it's an International Business Brokers Association conference, or if they want to take online classes or they want to do anything, it's all about, Boss Group's going to pay for that, which that might sound silly, but like a lot of companies, they leave it up to their agents, and the agents have to pay that cost. Where we look at it as the more knowledgeable we are, the better we are for our sellers, the better we are for our buyers, the better it is for the company, just the better it is for everything all around.
Well, it motivates us to want to be better, right? So last year I got my CMMAP and my Master.
Congratulations, by the way.
Got all the M&A certifications that you could get. I know a couple of the other agents that are working with Boss Group are doing the same thing. So it's just a desire to get better every day, to learn about new tactics of what we can do for our sellers to best represent them, ways that we can find, new technologies that we can put into our practice. We're constantly learning. So
education, I think, is the foundation of everything. Yeah. And I do a lot of instructing around the country, like you said, but I have so much that I learn, from other people and from taking courses and things like that. You're never going to know everything. I've been doing this for nearly 25 years, and there's always more to learn, either through experience or by taking classes or talking to people. And I think that's, you can't ever look at it and go, hey, I know it all, no matter what industry you're in. And I think that's what's cool or great about our company, is that we're always, our agents and ourselves are always, hey, we got to keep learning, got to keep improving.
And it's contagious. I know we're here talking today, to the audience about this, but we're representing our whole group. Everybody kind of has, right. Everybody underneath the Boss Group ceiling feels the same way. And we got some feathers in our cap too at Boss Group. I think that we're all award winners. We all are consistently in the $1 Million Club. We're all consistently selling, either the highest volume or the most businesses in the state. One of us is almost always on that list, if not multiple. We're getting recognition from the International Business Brokers Association. Mm-hmm. We are consistently award-winning brokers, and I think there's something to say about that all agents have that type of accreditation. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, no, I like that. I like that we're elite.
And on top of it, we also have different expertise, right? So, for example, there's somebody in our company who's very good with commercial real estate.
Yeah,
you were just on the phone with him.
Yeah, I was just on the phone with him. And he's very good at commercial. Yep. And then Tony Blair, he's fantastic with restaurants, and I'm great with service-oriented businesses, and you're great with a bunch of different businesses.
Yeah, we like to play in different spaces, and we can share the knowledge that we have with each other. We bleed over a little bit in some industries. We don't look at it as healthy competition, but we're helping each other out. And Greg, who is a specialist in commercial real estate, was helping you with a transaction. I was on the phone with him this morning just asking a question because he doesn't look at it, he goes, that's not my deal, I'm not going to help you.
Yeah, we're picking each other's brains. We're picking each other's brains constantly, and that's important.
And I think one of the biggest things that we've done at Boss Group that has really improved over maybe the past 36 months when we really made a commitment to this is our back office team, and the way that we have created a team approach. It feels almost like an assembly line to us because we've created a specialization of labor in what everybody's supposed to do. But for the people that we're working with, it feels like a better interaction because every touch point that somebody interacts with a Boss Group team member, they are feeling like they are getting the quality treatment that they deserve. Whether it is, calling us just to ask questions about Boss Group, the people answering the phone know what they're talking about. They're passionate about this business. They feel the same way that you and I do. And then, when you go to list a business and you're working with one of the brokers, we're offering a top quality experience. And all the way to when you're going down to actually have your business closed. We have the best closing coordinator in the game.
I'm going to tell you, I think the team approach is a critical component of, and I think a lot of things we're going to talk today about, I'm going to say a critical component to our where we're at. The team approach, I think, is huge. Mm-hmm. The team approach, most business intermediaries, in our space work in a situation where they do everything from A to Z. You know what I mean? They're handling everything. And you can't be great at everything. You can be really great at this and, good at that and not good at that and horrible at this. And I like how we set it up as a team is that we've got great people in the positions that they should be in,
Correct.
handling that part of the transaction. And we're breaking down that whole process, because the process
It's long.
it could take a couple of hundred hours, not for you as a seller, but it could take a couple of hundred hours as us, to handle that transaction. And by breaking it down and putting the right people in the right positions, having the right processes, the results that we get back are so much greater, from greatly increasing the chances of selling it. National averages at 10 to 20% of businesses for sale actually sell. So 80-90% of the businesses out there that are for sale do not sell. And I'm at 90% right now. The businesses I take to the market, and usually
above the national average.
usually the 10% that I don't sell, it's usually something that the
outside of your control.
the seller was didn't tell me about a skeleton in the closet, or they listed the business for sale and they're mentally checked out and the business declined or something like that. But from the success of the selling to the service that we provide the sellers and the service that we provide the buyers. And it also allows us to get very, very, very detailed in certain situations where, when a broker's trying to do everything themselves, first of all, they can't do everything themselves good, because you're not good at everything, but also you don't have the time or the capacity
to be effective.
To not only be effective, but to dot all those I's and cross all those T's. Like you mentioned, Stephanie, our closing coordinator, she's phenomenal. She's been with our company for over 10 years now.
I think that's a testament to Boss Group in itself.
And that's a testament to her. She's phenomenal.
Yes.
I love her as a friend, and I love her as a fellow coworker. But she's able, in her position, is that once a contract goes on, or a business goes under contract, she's kind of overseeing. I guess we're overseeing, but she's handling the day-to-day things from contract to closing, and then we're overseeing the whole process, and we're in constant communication with her, so we know exactly what's going on at any given time. But she's able to handle the intricate little tiny details that a broker that's trying to do everything themselves doesn't have the capacity to do. And they can't concentrate on that.
If you were to make a list of all of the steps from the first engagement to beyond the closing, the amount of boxes and the amount of items that you have, I guarantee it would be definitely in the hundreds.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple hundred. So it's not possible to do that many things well without messing up.
Or skipping over certain things, or not getting as detailed,
corner.
Yeah.
So I really challenge the individual broker that's out there doing it themselves to maybe look into some type of team approach, because we've gotten to the point now where we've not only made the commitment to have the team approach to how we facilitate business sales, but we feel like we've mastered it. We feel like we really got it down pat, and every day we're finding ways to improve it. We have our
I don't think we mastered it. I don't think we'll ever master it.
That's true.
I think it's always going to be an ongoing process. But I think you're right. We got it rock solid.
And for example, next week we have our annual meeting. We're getting together and we're going to look at everything we're doing, and we're going to say, what can we do better?
Right.
What can we do to fix this? And we've made some big commitments to new technologies. So we have bank level security data rooms. We leverage a phenomenal CRM to help us facilitate communications to people that are knocking at the door if we're not able to answer a phone. People want information quickly. We're in the information age.
Yeah. And being able to communicate between the different team members and how we communicate through our technology and through just having we have phone conversations, Zoom conversations, and meetings, but even the technology that we use to communicate.
And something I've learned to respect a lot about you specifically and Tony specifically, but really everyone in the company is we have a good balance and respect of boundaries with, hey, I'm taking family time, right?
Yeah.
Or, I'm still going to answer that call, but can you take it, like the way that we just pass the buck to each other, and the way that we leverage technology to make sure that if somebody wants some information and they've followed the steps that we've put, they'll still get what they need. So we've tried to make this business work for us and work for our clients.
I would love to maybe just touch real quickly. I don't want to stick too much on the team, but I do want to emphasize that, because I think the team approach, I think that's going to be the wave of the future. I mean, I really think the way that, we've been taught in the industry to kind of run your practice like we did that first episode is that mindset is broken, and a lot of things that brokers over the years passed to each other was correct, and a lot of things I think could be improved upon, and that's what we're trying to improve upon. The team approach I think is amazing, and it's better for everybody, for us, the sellers, the buyers, everybody. But we have, if you look at the process, we have a listing manager. The listing managers is helping us gear things together to coordinate with different people to get the business to the market and to get the advertising put into place. We have a professional writer that we use. We have a professional graphic designer that we use. We've got a closing coordinator. We've got a marketing team. We've got different people helping throughout that capacity. So
and it just makes for a fluid approach. And back to listing manager. So one thing, we talk about consistently trying to be better, right? So the listing manager doesn't just facilitate getting a listing up and on the market. They're looking at it and going, what can I do to make this better? How can I I'll give you a perfect example. So we bring a business to market and we list it, and what's going to happen is a lot of buyers are going to come in, they're going to start asking questions about the business. Every single question that they ask about the business that we haven't already answered in the material that we put together, we start building a Q&A list.
Yeah.
And then the next group that comes in that asks questions, we add to the Q&A list. And then eventually, 15 buyers down the road, we send them the Q&A list. Most of their questions are answered. So it's different things like that we add on and we learn that allow us to serve our clients better.
And what I like about the Q&A list too is that, because we're trying to be really thorough with that SIM or that marketing packet that we give up to buyers up front once they sign a confidentiality agreement, we pre-screen them. But, one of the things that we try to do is try to, foresee all those questions. But you can't foresee every kind of question. But one of the things I like about that Q&A sheet is that, as buyers are asking questions that may not be in here, this one's asking this one, that this one's asking another, it's being compiled and then it's being sent out to everybody. Everybody kind of knows, all those buyers know, there's other buyers that are circling around that business because they're asking these questions. And so that kind of gives them that.
Never thought of that.
Yeah, so, I like that for that fact too.
So you mentioned something about SIMs and BPs and marketing. So this is a huge one to touch on. So, definitely have quite a bit of marketing in my background, so I'm a big, marketer. But I can tell you that the biggest compliment that we always get when people see something from you or from me or with the Boss Group name, people know that what we put out there is top quality.
They do.
We do a damn good job putting together the listing packages and proper representation for people that list their businesses with Boss Group. It is bar none, top notch. We make sure that we do a really good job, really thorough job, and put ourselves in the shoes of a buyer. What would I want to see? And that is exactly what we deliver.
Yeah. You know what? That SIM, that confidential information memorandum, again, buyers don't see that until they've signed a confidentiality agreement. We've pre-screened them as a buyer. They have the financial capability. They've got the experience and the motivation. We think they're a serious buyer. Only then, after they sign that confidentiality agreement, do they see that SIM. But that SIM, the second they open up that SIM, I'm talking within 1 second, I want them to be like, wow, I've never seen anything like that before. This is much better than I've ever seen. So immediately you're grabbing their attention like that. And then as they're reading through it, and that's all up to the graphic designer, because the graphic designer, very, very talented, that's their job, is to create that, oh my gosh, wow, it's not just a template, but it's customized to that particular business, and to kind of show off from a visual standpoint, wow, that's impressive. So right away grabbing their attention, because you got to remember, these buyers, sometimes they're looking at multiple businesses. Sometimes they've been looking for a couple months to a couple years, and you know how it is in today's age. You got to grab somebody's attention. So second they open it up, they see it, and it grabs their attention. And then as they're reading through it, it's a professional writer, not just a professional writer, but a professional business writer that is writing it, so that they know how to educate and inform and get the buyer excited about the big benefits of that particular business, and get them to want to take that next step. So that SIM, that's incredible. And
takes the guesswork out of it.
And that's
buyers. Money
that's coming out of our pocket. That's not an expense we're asking the seller to pick up.
Yep.
If we're working with a seller and we're saying, yeah, I like this business, I think we can sell this business, we are putting our money where our mouth is. We're actually laying out hard cash out of our pocket. The seller's not responsible for, to the graphic designer, to the writer, to everybody else on our team that's going to be helping with that process. It's not an inexpensive task
No.
to run an operation like we're running.
Well, it takes a lot of time too. It's not just the money; it's the time. Because I mean, even
And
if
the labor costs and everything that's involved, Carey.
Yep. And it shows the care that we put into what we do to truly invest in learning about the businesses that we're representing. We learn it, we immerse ourselves in it, because the copywriter's content and the design from the graphic designer is only as good as the information we feed them. So we know the right stuff to ask. We know what buyers want, and we know how to properly take the information from a seller and translate it into a marketable business for a buyer to land their eyes on.
And that's a good point. Like with the writer, what we're doing is how they're getting that information is that we're having an interview after we list the business for sale. We're interviewing that seller, and that interview can last up to 2 hours. And so interviewing that seller, and then we're recording that call, which that call is not being made public at all.
Yep.
And we're recording that call, and we're running it through a program. So we got the AI. The AI is bringing out the text of that call as well, and we're providing the text of that, the transcripts, I should say, and the video of that call or the audio of that call, so the writer can hear that. But it's that asking all those questions to the seller that a buyer is going to ask, or we need to know, whatever it is. Because when I'm doing that interview with the seller, I want to be able to talk intelligently about the seller's business. I want to be able to answer 95% of the questions that a buyer will have. I want to know the things that I know buyers going to want to know about that business that business has. It really makes it special. And we're getting all that information, and like you said, we're giving it to the writer, and then the writer's designing it from there.
It's a lot of upfront work, but we talked about in the mindset of the business broker is broken, being more selective and doing quality over quantity. So we make sure that if we're going to invest that time
and money and resources,
that time that or all of those things, that it's going to be a sellable business. So we package it up properly. And I can't say how many times, whether even if a buyer says, you know what, I'm going to pass on this one, but I have to let you know this was one of the best packages that I've received in all of my search.
I've heard that. I don't want to boast, but I've heard that so many times from buyers that this is the nicest packet that I've ever seen, and I've seen 20, 50, whatever it is. They love it. And
we're going to find ways to continue innovating the facilitation of information and making sure that these continue to get better and better. And one thing I will say, though, is, we could make this beautiful package, but if it doesn't get in front of the right people, right? So the way that we distribute it, the way that we get it out there, and we won't get too deep into the weeds, but one thing I want to touch on that Boss Group truly has an advantage of is our individual database that we've been building for 15 years. We keep our data sanitized. We make sure that the information in there is up to date. It's very well categorized. I think we have 40,000 active buyers and sellers. And
I don't know how many buyers we have, but the difference is most companies, everybody's working as an independent contractor. Like if you had a real estate company, and every agent is working their own transactions, but they're not sharing a database of buyers. Our database from day one has been shared, where everybody that's ever inquired about a business is going into that database, and that database just keeps growing and growing and growing. So, when you list a business for sale and you're marketing it, and you're collecting, you're getting buyers that are inquiring on that business, and you get that business under contract and it sells, all those other buyers are there for everybody else in the team, whether it's me, Tony, Nick, Greg, whoever it is, that we list a similar type business or a business that might appeal to that type of buyer. We've got them in a database, and that's why our database has become so huge.
And they're categorized from what particular industry their business is in, or what they're looking for, the size of the business they're looking for. We have a separate database of private equity groups and VC firms and family offices,
even down to visa attorneys and visa specialists and people like that.
And we send them communications, and we make sure that if there's something bouncing, we're cleaning it, because we have great open rates on our content. There is a incredible amount of people that reach out to us because of the way that we publicize our information, our listings that we have available for sale, and just the way that we put thoughtful content out.
I think that's key, is thoughtful, and how you're wording things and the words and things like that. Like, we're not trying to sell the product or service of the business. We are trying to sell the business itself. So we know what the buyers, the buyer pool tends to look for in a business. So when we're talking to that business owner and we're starting to check off certain boxes that we're like, oh, okay, this is going to really appeal. That's going to really appeal. We want to get that message across, in our marketing and advertising. Sometimes I see, it's more of approach of, talking about the products and services. We're more geared, not just what makes the business great, but the hot buttons that buyers are looking for. And I think buyers themselves respect that. I mean, at the end of the day, everything that we're doing to go to the market with the business, it's not like we're like, okay, great, we met you today. Let's list your business today. That sounds good. Hurry up, sign right there. I'll have it on the market today, tomorrow or today, and we're going to get things going. That's not how we operate. It takes 2 to 3 weeks to get a business to the market. And I know some people are the same day or two.
You're
next
faster
day or two.
than me. I started
and you just throw it out there. You just throw it out there, and they're like, "Oh, I hope I'm going to get buyers." We put the time and care when we take on a listing. We're not playing a numbers game. We're not saying, "Okay, I'm going to list 25 businesses this year, and I know I'm going to sell 10 or 20% of them." We're coming in with an attitude of, we're going to take on probably less. We're going to take on less listings. We're going to take on quality listings. We're going to package it properly. We're going to handle it correctly, and we are going to come out swinging really, really hard. And we're not just. I'm sorry, Carey. I get excited about this stuff, but if we take a business to the market on Friday, Monday I'm calling the office and I'm like, how many NDAs did we get signed? How many people inquired? How many people? Blah 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 blah. I'm already. And if I look at it and go, yeah, that's not enough. I'm already looking at our marketing materials. I'm looking how things are worded. I'm like, okay, maybe we need to start changing things. I'm not waiting 3 months to be like, hey, we're not getting any activity. Maybe I should look at this. Mm-hmm. And in the meantime, you have no communication with the seller, and 6 months go by. I mean, I've heard stories of business owners out there list their business for sale. They go under a year listing agreement and they didn't talk to their broker for that whole year, or they talked to them twice. I mean, I'm making changes. I'm making changes within days if I'm not thinking we're getting enough activity.
All of these things that you said, that may be done a little bit differently at a top tier, and how much extra time and care that we put in the beginning of the transaction or the beginning of the listing to package it properly. Isn't that what the owner of a business deserves?
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. This is probably their biggest asset in their life.
One of the biggest moments they'll have in their life is when they actually do that. It's a big decision to sell your business.
It's their baby.
Yeah.
They gave birth to it. A lot of them gave birth to it.
Yep.
And they nurtured it and they grew it and they built it into something great. It's an honor. I look at it as an honor that seller is saying, yeah, I'm taking one of my most prized non-human being possessions in my life and putting it in your hands. And it's like that's an honor. It's
not something that we take lightly.
No.
That's for sure.
No, not at all.
And I think it's a really good point. I kind of got goosebumps when you said that. I think something else that we've done a good job with is standard operating procedures and documenting our processes and then making sure that we adhere to them. And, you think of a franchise model, right? And it's, you pull out your book, you follow instructions 1 through 10, you do it every time the same way, no matter what. And that's how, you build continuity from one store to two stores. We've done something like that for us with a room for customization and flexibility, but we've done it to where we feel like we've got it down pretty pat, in where not only are we doing it properly for our clients, but our clients feel like they're getting almost like an education through the process when they're listing a business with us, that they can go along, okay, this is what you can expect next. And just the way that we facilitate that information is something I'm proud of, whether it's me listing it or you listing it or another agent. If they're coming to Boss, I'm proud because they're going to get that experience.
And you know what? Look, at the end of the day, we're not perfect 100% of the time. And once in a while, something will pop up, and we're like, okay, there's a problem. And I think a lot of times when a business owner, doesn't matter what industry you're in, you look at that problem, you say, okay, I'm going to fix that problem. A good business owner says, I'm going to fix that problem and resolve it. But we go one step deeper and say, okay, we got to fix that problem. We're going to resolve that problem, but let's look underneath and see why that happened. And let's fix that so that problem doesn't happen again. So it's always that fine tuning of things that we're going across. And gosh, I want to talk about the muffler. Can I talk about the muffler?
Let's talk about the muffler.
I know I talked about this in the first episode, and look, this is a story that I love telling. I love telling it. I don't know if it's a true story or not, but it's a good story. And this is how it goes, is that in the 1970s, supposedly there was this Japanese company that made the best muffler by far out of anybody. So this American company wanted to know why or how this Japanese company was making this muffler so good. So what they did was they bought this Japanese muffler, and they did what's called reverse engineering. And for those of you guys who don't know what reverse engineering is, one of the things you do in reverse engineering is you get a competitor's product, you take it apart to see how it was put together, to see how it was built, things like that. So they got this muffler, they took it apart, and to see why this Japanese muffler was so good. And they looked at each other and like, there's nothing special about this. It's got all the same parts that our muffler has. There's nothing special about this. But then they looked at every little tiny piece of that muffler, and they looked at it in much more detail, and they realized that everything, even down to the nuts, bolts, and screws of that muffler, were just a little tiny bit better than theirs. But then when you put the whole muffler together, it was exponentially better. And I love that story. I must have heard, and again, I don't know if it's true or not, but I heard that story probably 20 years ago, and it just stuck in my head, and I love telling it. But that's kind of like our motto, unofficial motto at Boss Group is, let's just
be a little better.
Yeah. Maybe you can't, everything you do, you can't be a lot better, but even if you make every little step, you said there's hundreds of steps in the process. Mm-hmm. If we can make each thing just a teeny tiny bit better, and other things a lot better, but when you put it all together, it's just so much better, So.
And some other attributes maybe about Boss Group that I think is important for people to know is, the first step in looking to sell your business is understanding where you stand, right? How much is your business, worth? Because if you don't know what it's worth, it's going to be very hard for you to make that, grandiose decision of, I should probably sell my business. So we provide a broker opinion of value for every business that we bring to market. There is no cost to get a broker opinion of value from our team. There is also no obligation to work with Boss Group after we provide you a broker opinion of value. So it's something that if you're considering the sale of your business or really just wanting to know where you stand, we're happy to provide you that broker opinion of value. And even if it's not the right time to sell, Jim, we maintain relationships with clients that come to us that are not ready to sell for a year, 2 years, 3 years down the road. We stay in touch with them. And when the time's right, they're going to come to us because we provided them that guidance that, oh, you're not ready to sell because of A, well, I think you should do this. Or you're not ready to sell because of B, we're going to give you some advice to do this. We're going to do what we can to help prepare you to get ready to sell and work with you through that time. So when you're ready, you're going to work with us.
Yeah, and I think that's a key component. I love having, when I'm doing a broker's opinion of value, at one point I do an assessment call where I get on the phone with the seller and I'm asking them specific questions about the financials after I've analyzed them. Mm-hmm. And in part of that assessment call, I'm also asking them general questions about their business. And if they decide they don't want to move forward and they're looking to sell, maybe, hey, I'm probably going to be 2 years out or 3 years out, it's like, okay, these are the things that you could change or work on that will maximize either your chances of selling down the road or maximize the sales price. And in fact, I love when a business owner comes to me 2 years before they're ready to sell, mm-hmm. and they say, okay, I want to retire, or I want to do something else in about 2 years, and I start engaging with them. One, they can get a realistic picture of what their business is actually worth today, and they then have a goal of where they need to be when they do exit in 2 years from now. But it also gives the opportunity that I can say, hey, these are the things that, a buyer would rather not see if you can improve upon these things and fix, so that when they are ready to sell, they're in the best position to sell.
And not only does it help them, it helps us.
Yeah.
Right? So very clearly, I'm not sure if you heard what Jim said, but regardless of whether you're ready to sell now or you're ready to sell in a couple years, we strongly encourage you to reach out to us and have a conversation now so that we can help prepare your file, your situation, your business, everything that we can add value to, so that when you are ready, we don't have this long period of time to bring it to market. We're ready. We understand your business. We've updated your financials, and we're going to give it the best chance to sell.
Yeah,
regardless of when, there's never too early of a time to start the process of selling your business. There was a business that I listed, and I think it took like 3 years, almost a little over 3 years to sell it. Some reasons out of our control, but I work with that person, and day one he came to me and said, I want to sell my business. So it wasn't a waiting period. It literally took 3 years to sell. if he would have thought about what he wanted to do prior, we might have been able to save some of that time. So
Right.
it's a super simple concept, but when people are considering the sale of the business, and again, even if you're not even considering it, most business owners aren't thinking, oh, I wonder what my business is worth today on a random Tuesday after running the business for a while. It's an important thing to know. It's good to know
Yeah.
where you stand and what you can get for the business. And while industries change and values of businesses could change macro or microeconomically, it's always good to kind of know where you're at.
Yeah, and absolutely. And you might be sitting there, if you're listening to this, you might be sitting there going, well, gosh, why would they do these brokers' opinion of values for free? And why would they, and there's no obligation to use their services? Well, obviously, we're hoping that we're building that rapport and that relationship with you, that down the road, when you are ready to sell, that you'll use our services, and hopefully you'll make those, changes or follow through with the recommendations that we gave, so that you maximize your chances of selling and maximize your sales price. But also, you're a business owner and you know other business owners. And, a lot of our business is a referral business. And, by doing you well, you might be talking to another business owner who's like, I'm thinking about retiring. And you'd be like, oh, I talked to Carrie, or I talked to Jim, or I talked to Nick. You got to give them a call at Boss Group. Everything, I believe in life, you just do good things for good people, and things come back to you like that,
Another reason that we're different at Boss Group is we have a badass name. Boss Group is a great name. And I think we've tackled this before, but what does BOSS stand for?
So it's an acronym, actually, for Business Opportunity Sales Specialists. Originally, that was a thought process. It was Business Opportunity Sales Specialist, but I don't think any of our marketing we ever used that as an acronym. But I want to tell you an interesting story about that BOSS name is that when I was trying to come up with a name for the company, I was coming up with a bunch of different things, and I thought, Boss, I like the name Boss. I love that. It's just, I love the name.
Strong.
And so I started asking people, what do you think about Boss Group? What do you think about Boss Group? And half the people were like, I love it. They were with me. They were like, I love it. And the other half of the people were like, I hate it. I hate that name. I hate it.
What was the reason?
And I was like, there's disparity. So I was like, that's strange. Why am I getting such, people saying they love it and some people saying they hate it? And then I started thinking about the people that I asked. And the people that loved it were business owners or were the boss. And the people that hated it were employees that didn't like their boss, and they had a negative connotation to it.
Bingo.
And that's what made me think. I'm like, well, in our industry, we're obviously working with business owners who are the boss, or we're working with buyers
who want to be
the boss, or at a boss.
You never told me that before. That's good stuff.
So I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, almost everybody I mentioned it to, they like it, and a lot of my friends are business owners, so it makes a lot of sense. But it's a strong name. I think we have a great reputation. I know that we're going to continue to grow and evolve this company to best serve our clients and the people we work with. I feel really confident that the people that choose to work with Boss Group are going to have an incredible experience from beginning to end, and they're going to like the people that they're working with.
Yeah,
that I can almost assure people.
Yeah.
So as you're going through your journey to consider the sale of your business or to look for a business to buy, we highly encourage you to reach out to us at Boss Group. Feel really good about the things that we can offer from an educational standpoint, and hopefully accomplishing your overall goals of buying or selling.
Thank you.